Alright, so what happened with what we were talking about last time was I was in the 9th or 10th grade or whatever. And again, I was one of those kids that was like, when someone was wrong about something or someone's doing bad, I like to report it. It annoyed, I was less like that in high school because, well, like, after grade 6, because it just annoyed people. And I knew it annoyed people because I learned like characters who were like that on TV usually got bullied. So, but this one time, I really wanted to go to the, I really regret, and I really wanted to go to the teachers and just debunk these two guys, okay? So these two kids, for their science fair thing, set up in the gym. All they was just an excuse so that they can play Black Ops multiplayer. Like all they did was do Nuke Town against bots the whole time. So what they did is they brought a 360, and their project was that they got PS3 games to play on their 360. Impossible. The 360 cannot play Blu-rays at all. And they wrote down these BS reasons that, oh, this is just go to your settings and change this and all that, and it works. And that was the report. And they were just like, they're just playing Call of Duty, Mark, or whatever, to like, you know, my friends and all that. But it's like, these kids are playing an M-rated game. If you play the campaign, you'll see there is a lot of violence a lot of gore and violence in the Call of Duty campaigns. And they're playing an adult game and they're just not even, all they did were just playing multiplayer even. They weren't even doing zombies or like camping, they were just playing against bots for some reason, which is like the most boring thing to do if you're gonna bring it to school. Also, in that game, you can like make your own little emblem or whatever, and a lot of people use it to like make like genitals. You know what genitals are, right? Whatever. Anyway, and I just wanted to go like, hey, this is impossible, and I wanted to take a teacher and say, why are you letting these kids play a game they are not old enough to play in a Catholic school that does not allow like us bringing in those kinds of movies and in like games and movies? Like, the teachers aren't allowed to like play those kind of movies, even if even if it's like an educational movie, like if it's like a well, anyway, like a movie that would like, you know, teach us something. They're not allowed to bring those kinds of things in, and we can't bring those kinds of video games to school. And it's like, we're not allowed to bring video games at all to school. And they're just like, oh yeah, they don't know anything about video games, so they're just like, yeah, whatever, we're not gonna check or verify or anything or ask people if this works. It's just like, oh, that's cool. Something that's impossible to do, and they don't even check the disc or anything. I want so bad to like check the disc and show them, hey, this is impossible. They can't be doing this. They're just, you know, not even doing work just so they can play video games all day.
That's when you said the bunk thing. It reminded me when
Debunk?
Well, yeah, it reminded me when we were at camp. Okay, our school had a field...
Yeah, but Magnus, sit down and like talk into the mic.
Earlier this year, our school, well, in June, our school had this field trip where we went to camp. It was like 2 schools, ours and some others. Anyway, there was a cabin with all of our school's boys. There were 2 rooms. I got picked with my favorite friend, with my best friend.
You know, the guy we've been talking about this whole playthrough?
Yeah. Anyway, I was with my best friends, and then later at night on the first day, I just wanted to go to bed, but no, guess what they did? Well, some of them went up to the other door and knocked on it and then ran back. And then they literally got the teacher and the teacher yelled at us, but well, not all of us. The next day I asked if I did anything at the cafeteria, and they said, no, I get to find magnets. And then later, well, all I did was I was in my bunk. And most of them got in trouble, and we weren't allowed in our cabins in free time because of that.
Reminds me in wrestling. When I was in wrestling in high school, we'd go to tournaments, we'd be in a hotel, and we were allowed to hang. There was a lot of us in the group. Like when I first joined, there was like 40 or 30 of us, but not everyone went to the tournaments. But there's no like cuts in wrestling. You keep going to the practices. You can just pay and go to the tournaments. Anyway, for the longest time we were allowed to boys and girls to just hang out in our hotel rooms. But then it got to a year where it was we can't do that anymore. And there was actually a point where they were because a lot of people were dating on the team, so a lot of the boyfriends and girlfriends sat together on the bus, and then one year we're our coach was no, boys have to sit with boys and all that. And it's what? Why now? It just sucked.
At our butts line, at school, at our butts line, we have this really annoying kid that everyone hates. Literally everyone. He's not really that smart.
Yeah, I had a kid like that. When I was in one town we lived in. Well, first of all, your story of the people knocking on your door reminded me. In the house we lived in where you were born, someone egged our house for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, they threw 2 eggs at our house.
At the door?
No, on the window. I checked outside immediately. I didn't see anyone. Yeah, no, it didn't matter. When I was in the 6th grade, I had to take a van with handicapped people to school. Grade 6 was my worst year because all the kids were mean, and I had to deal with that stuff in the morning. And it's there's this one guy who was not handicapped. The reason we went on there is because we just lived so far. When I was in high school, well, at first I had to take 2 buses. That was the plan. Was I had to take one bus and then one school bus and take another bus to school. And then so they decided this van is gonna pick you up because it's it's just a few people going on. There was this one guy that was just so annoying and immature. I was in grade 6, he was in grade 4. The most annoying and immature you could think of. He thinks that he's so great and all that, and that there's this guy and girl on the van, and he would just keep calling the girl's name and just be hey. I can't remember. It's been so long, but I can't. But this one thing I remember is that he said, "I'm mature because I play M-rated games. That's what it means." Angus is face palming.
Okay. First of all, that means it's only for this age. Not if you play it, it doesn't mean you're mature. It means you have to be a certain age to play it.
Well, it means it's a recommended age, but it's in other not country. Well, yeah, countries, but other what are they called now? Why am I not remember? Continents. Europe has PEGI, and the games are PEGI 17, PEGI 18. So if they had those reigns, it would completely make no sense for him. I know, and it's how does it make you mature that you're playing it when you act like a complete tool in the van? He actually believed that. He actually believed he was mature because you played M-rated games. I played M-rated games too, like, but I didn't think I was like the most mature person ever. It was so annoying. And the other two people, there was these two people, like, I never saw their faces and I didn't care for them. They were just not smart people. Like, they weren't like handicapped, they were just not smart people, and they were so annoying when they talked because they were so amazed by the littlest things, and that really annoys me when people are just amazed by things that aren't really all that great. But they kept talking. They loved the Jak and Daxter series, and what really annoyed me was when they call Jak. So you know what they're called, the games, right? The first one's Jak and Daxter, then there's Jak 2, then Jak 3, and Jak X Combat Racing or whatever.
Yeah.
What really annoyed me, so this is a good example of those things I told you about earlier, of when people like are lazy with words and calling things what they aren't. They called Jak and Daxter Jak 1. And I was like, how can you be so lazy to call it Jak 1? Are you not able to say Daxter? And it's like, if you're such big fans, why don't you pronounce it properly and give respect to the series? I know for a lot of people it's not something that would bother them, but it's just something, it just feels so lazy to me. Like, I'm gonna try and not be as good as I can be in life. See, the thing with me and my older brother is that my brother is surprised when you don't do the big things that matter. And for me, it's when you don't bother to do the small things that matter. Because the big things... Is the captain even here?
No, you're going the wrong way.
Okay. He's the captain, so who's just gonna be on the other staircase?
Also, I think you should heal your team, cause...
Well, there's no beds to sleep in this place.
Can't you just go back out?
I don't know.
You can just leave.
Can I?
Yeah, you can just leave.
It won't leave without me?
No, not until you get cut.
Anyway, for like my brother, okay, he gets mad at me when I don't do the big chores, and I've talked about this many times on the channel before, but it's like, for me to do the big chores, there's a lot of stress behind it, a lot of demanding, and one of the things I had a hard time in school was, why I didn't try in school, is because when it came to doing things right and properly, like, I'm being hypocritical, and I know about it, but it's like, I get scared because to do the work, when I was taught in school was, you have to do your work perfectly, right? That was the point. Don't do mistakes. So I would always get nervous, and because it was so much work and concentration and energy I did not have, because I had depression, and I still do, like, I do not have as much energy as a normal person. I get tired very quickly. And so I would get exhausted easily. And so anyway, so like when it comes to doing big chores, it's the same thing. I get anxiety, I get very nervous, and I feel like I'm gonna I get angry easily when I'm told I have to do it or else. But my older brother doesn't do the small things, and that really annoys me, because it makes sense for someone to not do the big things, because there's a lot of reasons why to prevent you from doing the big things, like the things I just mentioned, right? But for him, he doesn't do the small things, like... Okay, so in our microwave, we have this plastic lid you put on the microwave, on your food, so like if you have sauce or something, it doesn't splatter everywhere. So what I do when I'm done with it is I take it off and I rinse it out and I put it away. The sink and the microwave are like a meter away from each other, like 3 feet away from each other, so it's no effort to do that, right? And I rinse it for a second, and then I dry it. He never does that. No one else does that in the house, because it's just too much for them. And it's like, how is this small thing that requires no energy or effort to do, why is that something you can't do? And he's like, you don't do enough chores in the house to tell me not to do, that I don't do something.
Wait, who?
Miko. He told me, he said, you don't do enough in this house to tell me to do something. So because I don't do enough stuff in the house, you just keep the sauce on the lid and let it get hard, so that next time someone puts food in it, that hard sauce is going to go into their food. That's fine, because I don't do enough stuff in the house, so that's why it's okay to do that. And another thing is that I hate. I have this. I have not. It's not a. I guess it's a phobia, but like over the year, in the last few years, it developed a thing where feel and touch got like really like physical feel and touch like really grosses me out when I touch something and the temperature is different than like my hand. So if I touch something cold or hot, it just makes me feel very uncomfortable. And so that way I keep telling my brother, never put the lid down in the bathroom, like the top lid. So, because I hate because every time I touch it, I have to wash my hands, and that wastes soap. Because I wash my hands very frequently, so that's just a little thing that doesn't need to be done. But he puts it down anyway. He just can't remember to not put the lid down.
Can I go?
Yeah.
When I talk about that kid that everyone hates, one time when I first met him, I was out on the wall. Well, that's where Butts Line is. And then he had this Mario plush, and then I went up to him. And then everyone went up to him, because, well, I don't know, a few people went up to him, and then I wouldn't. Just by seeing a video game I love, that's how you get my attention. That's a lot. Well, anyway, the kid kept saying he was the biggest Mario fan in the entire world, and then I was like, I could have some fun with this. Then later I kept asking him Mario-related questions about, I don't know, stuff. I asked him what one of the worst Mario games ever was.
And you said Mario World?
Yeah, and I was like, are you serious?
That's like, a lot of people say Mario Bros. 3 is the best. I think World's better than 3. I like it a lot more anyway.
Anyway,
but yeah, that kid clearly doesn't know Mario.
Anyway, my answer was gonna be Hotel Mario, kids. Seriously, that game's awful.
Yeah.
But no, he said one of the best Mario games of all time, and I'm like, are you serious?
Hotel Mario's one of the best?
No, he said, no, I meant Mario World.
Oh, no, because what you just said was, when you said Hotel Mario, he said, what you said was, he said that's one of the best Mario games out there. And so you told him Mario World is one of the best games?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's not what you said, but anyway, go on.
And then later, anyway, also for some reason, when I sit, one time I had to sit with him on the butts, and he would just play with his Minecraft toy, and...
Anyways, don't turn away from the mic, no one's gonna hear you when you talk.
Sorry. Anyway, he just really annoying. Literally everyone hates him. One time on the bus stop, on our bus line, I was talking about this awesome game me and my friends plan to make, because we're planning to make this small game to make, and it was a really awesome idea. Anyway, I would just say, really excited about my idea, and then later, the kid went up to me and said, "What are you gonna do, make a Mario game?" I was like, why would I make a game that I don't own? That's copyrighted. Anyway, everyone hates that kid. It's really dumb.
I had this bully in grade 6 where at first he was like my first friend in the class, but then he was just being really mean to me. He was mean to everyone. He thought he was really cool and gangster because he played his sister told me, like, he thinks that he's really cool because he plays Grand Theft Auto games. And it's like, I play Grand Theft Auto games. Well, I only play San Andreas I only played San Andreas, but I played a lot at that year, and it's like, you know, I don't think I'm cool or anything. You know, I think I'm the whitest guy out there. But it's like, it was really mean to me, and it got to a point where like I actually stood up to him, and like the other people in the class didn't really. So like there's this one part, I had the same bus with him. He was I don't know, teasing me or saying stuff. It was really annoying me, so I went to punch him. And you know, we're small kids, so like I go to punch him, and he's in the seat behind me. So there's the backboard that I'm sitting on is in the way, and he's crouching on his seat. Okay, so my fist doesn't reach him. Okay, so he's far away from me. Okay, that makes sense, right? The next day at school, he's laughing at me with his friends that I couldn't hit him. And I said, you were crouching and away from me. He's like, so he takes his friend who's right beside him, puts his arm up, and he's like, see, I have distance to hit him. And it's like, that is not the same distance. That is not the same angle or anything. And he's like, I can reach him, why couldn't you hit me?
Wait, what did he say?
I don't know exactly.
Bonjour.
Oh, bonjour. It literally means good day in French. But it's just what we use to say hello. Actually, that's an interesting thing. In Canada, like, Quebec is pretty much where the French is at. But New Brunswick also has quite a bit of French. And Ontario. But, when we lived in Quebec, people would say bonjour, when, say you were when we would go to, my mom came to the school and she talked to the secretary would say bonjour, as, like, goodbye, like, because bonjour is the main thing you say for hello, but it also does mean, like, good day, so she would say good day to you when they left, and in New Brunswick, they'd say, salut, so, like, you know, just regional thing, differences.
When you said about that bully and
Magnus, turn to the
when you talked about that bully and its friends, it reminded me of something.
Yeah, his friends actually didn't like it. By the end of the year, they were a lot nicer to me and saying that, like, this guy's just mean and, like, uses us, and so, you know, I was on, like, their nice side.
Anyway, it was. I had the snow fort, and I made this whole snow fort with me and my friends, and at art school, snow forts mean war.
Yeah.
Literally, people kept taking out snowballs, so I went up to stand up to this jerk, and you know the guy Logan I mentioned before.
Yeah.
He stole its snowball, so I went up to him and said, "Give me its snowball." My snowball back, and then later his friends came up to me. I went to punch him because I really hate him.
Yeah.
And then guess what? One of his friends literally pushed me down the hill onto concrete. And then later I don't remember if it was concrete because it was buried under snow, but it really hurt. But luckily my friends were there too. I got the snowball back, and then later a few weeks later I was rebuilding my snow fort, and then the guy who pushed me said he wanted to help, but I was really mad at that. And I was like, oh no, don't you remember what happened? And they were like, but that was the past. And I was like, the past? I'm not that type of guy who forgets the past. I'm not that type.
So he thought it was fine because it happened before. That's something that, like, Miko, like, are you done your story?
Yeah, I'm done it.
That's something, like, my parents, like, I'll bring up something that, like, upset me, like, in the past. And, like, a lot of times it's not something, it's something I got over, okay? But I'll bring up something just to say, hey, this is something I remember. And they're like, oh, get over it. And it's like, I'm just sharing a story with you. And my brother keeps saying, don't get, like, don't, I'll tell, like, things that my brother did to me when we were kids. And he's like, that was in the past. Don't dwell on the past. And then he brings up things that I've done in the past, that I've done, and you know, I could just tell him the same thing, like, you know, that was a week ago, get over it. It's like, you can't tell me that and not accept it yourself. You really took down my attack power. Oh, so we're 25 already? It was 16 last time I looked. Alright, should I? No. We'll end. No, we'll continue the battle next time.
Okay.